Hey there, you guys. So today I want to talk about Xbox Game Pass. I think Xbox Game Pass gets kind of a bad rap within like the gaming enthusiast communities. A lot of people say it's kind of like the problem with Xbox right now, etc., etc. As someone who never actually played Game Pass, I never really wanted to touch too much on whether I think it's good, whether I think it's bad for the industry, etc. With that all being said, though. I recently got like a trial for Xbox Game Pass. They gave me like 1 month free, so I figured why not? I booted it up just to give it a shot, just to see if I'm interested in continuing a subscription with Xbox Game Pass. So in this video, we are gonna do a review of Xbox Game Pass, a very quick review as I haven't played too much titles, just kind of the idea of it and the things I like, the things I don't like. The first game I definitely wanted to hop into was kind of a callback. So I'm a big Gears of War fan. I was a really big fan of the first two games, and then honestly, after that, I didn't really stick around with the franchise. I know they made like three more since Gears 2. But I definitely want to pick up where I left off in Marcus is like whole storyline and all the stuff that's going on with the community and stuff like that. So I definitely went in to check out Gears of War 3. And man, Gears of War 3 is such a great game, such an amazing game. I'm currently playing it right now, and I am so upset that I kind of hopped away from this franchise. Playing Gears of War 3, just the opening sequence is probably one of my favorite things of that seventh generation of consoles. Such, cinematic, such a big scaled enemies that you kind of have to go through. All that I think really, really, really stands out within the Gears of War franchise. And having the ability to go back and play in Gears of War 3 was just, again, it is really, really cool. It brought back a lot of, nostalgia, a lot of feelings that I haven't felt for Xbox in a really long time. And obviously, we all know Xbox 360 was probably the best generation for Xbox, and they haven't really been up there since. With that being said, I mean, it's just cool that Game Pass exists for nostalgic titles like Gears of War 3. The fact that I could have, Gears of War 1 all the way to Gears 5 in the same subscription service, and I could just kind of run through them all. That's really, really cool. As Gears of War, again, it's a franchise that I remember liking so much with Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 2, but for whatever reason never really felt compelled to go back to. So immediately when I see it in, the Game Pass library, is definitely a game I had to check out. The next game that I was curious about was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. As we all know, Hellblade 2 is like slated to release in 2024, and I never actually played the first one. I had heard about the idea of what Hellblade was, and it's definitely something that interested in me, but it's not something that I actually really played a lot. So I kind of wanted to go into Hellblade, check it out, see if it's a game that I really like vibe with. And I think it is a little overhyped, if I'm being honest. I think there is a gimmick there that is really, really cool. I like the whole sound effect, the whole sounds that are going around, the character speaking to you and telling you, "Oh, you're going the wrong way, you're going the wrong way, you're gonna fail, etc." Stuff like that I think was really, really cool. It definitely sets an ambient tone. With that being said, though, when you're talking about just the pure gameplay of it all, I mean, the combat was good. The puzzles were okay, but nothing in the game really screamed out as amazing. And for this to be a game that I think a lot of people kind of hold up to this pedestal now, and I think the reason why they're doing that is because Hellblade 2 is releasing, and Hellblade 2 for a lot of people, they feel like that has to deliver for Xbox. And playing Hellblade 1, I mean, it's a cool game. It definitely makes me interested more in Hellblade 2. With that being said, however, I don't think it's a game that, warrants this much hype. If I'm being 100% honest, get at me in the comment section if you want. This is your favorite game of all time. I get it. With that being said, though, I don't think it's, their God of War. I think a lot of people are holding Hellblade up to be Xbox's God of War, and I just don't see it. It's a cool game for what it does, but ultimately, I don't think it does enough gameplay wise. The next game that I went in to try to check out was Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 is a game that, was in Game of the Year conversation a while back when it released. It is a game that, leading up to it, a lot of people were kind of hyping up, the cult classic Psychonauts is getting its sequel from the amazing Tim Schafer and Double Fine, etc. They even had a documentary made about like the development of this game, which is a really cool documentary if you guys are interested in it. With all that being said, playing Psychonauts 2, it is a really interesting game, doing a lot of really cool like things in platformers that I don't think I've really seen in any other platformer. You know, the whole mine thing, the whole different levels, being set up, very differently from each other with different platform mechanics, etc. All of them having like a tool set that has to kind of like play around and work in a bunch of different environments. Really smart game design here. Um, I don't think the art style's for me, I think it does give this kind of weird, you know, cartoony vibe that isn't my favorite type of cartoony vibe. I was more into like the Saturday morning cartoon style of things, 4Kids TV, WB Kids, etc. And this gives me like Nicktoons vibes, like the outcasted Nickelodeon shows, like, Invader Zim, or like I don't know, My Life as a Teenage Robot, stuff like that. And it's not bad. I just don't think it's something that's appealing to my eyes. The humor is a little dry or a little on the nose sometimes, which is weird. I think this is a game that gets touted as very humorous. Overall, gameplay is amazing. I just don't think I care about the aesthetics. With that being said, it is a really good game. Psychonauts 2 is definitely probably one of the better platformers, 3D platformers to release in a long time. So definitely, I don't want to poop on it too much because it is a really good game, and I see the innovation in a lot of the gameplay mechanics, how smooth Raz moves and maneuvers. The combat is actually really good in this game. I definitely think if propped up enough, Psychonauts 2 could be Xbox's Ratchet and Clank, and I think it is a really good game overall. Couldn't be reviewing Xbox Game Pass games if I didn't take some time to touch Starfield, and I don't want to harp on this game too much. Mainly just because I think a lot of people already kind of did a good enough job of surmising this game. I didn't play a lot of Starfield, and the reason being is because honestly, I kept falling asleep, and I don't want to poop on Bethesda or Starfield or anything like that, because I know a lot of people really love this game. I will say, trying to play a couple hours was really hard. It was really difficult. There was nothing for me to attach to, gameplay wise, the world wise, character wise, um, even to the point where I was literally falling asleep. Um, I couldn't help it. I tried to really get into it, but it just wasn't for me. There's nothing there to latch on for me. I don't think I really cared about the character creation. I didn't care about the world. Again, nothing in there felt like I was compelled to continue forward. Um, that sucks. I really wanted to like Starfield, but ultimately I couldn't really get into it. But I'm not gonna beat it up too much again, just because so many people have, you know, talked about it and beat it up. So I just won't join that. All right, the final video game that I had to play if I was gonna review Xbox's Game Pass is Halo Infinite. Now, I am a big Halo fan from Halo 1, 2, 3, and I haven't touched or thought about Halo too much since Halo 3, if I'm being honest. Halo Infinite, for a lot of people, is kind of a return to form, kind of proof why Halo isn't good anymore, etc. It depends on how you want to look at it. So I definitely wanted to check out Halo Infinite. And playing through Halo Infinite, one, I feel confused because I haven't played Halo in so long. There's a lot of things that I clearly remember, like the worlds, the gameplay, the physics, the basic enemies, etc. Um, but like how to play the game, I'm really rusty. So if you guys are looking at my gameplay and making fun of me, go for it. Very warranted. Again, I haven't played Halo since Halo 3 back on the Xbox 360, and I think I forgot how to play the game because I felt like I was doing okay, but I don't feel like I was doing amazing. With that all being said, Halo is a very unique first person shooter, and I absolutely had a blast playing it. I loved Halo back then, and I absolutely love Halo Infinite. Again, I haven't played too much into it. I know a lot of a lot of the problems with it is content based. So as someone who just touched it a little bit, sure, I can see why maybe content could be an issue. Overall, though, the physics is amazing, the gameplay is amazing. I love the enemy varieties. A lot of it is Halo. A lot of it is really good Halo, in my opinion. Um, with that all being said, again, I didn't touch it too much, but I think that Halo Infinite should have been, the game to sell Game Pass. And the fact that Halo Infinite didn't is a concerning sign for Game Pass. And this is where I want to get into the crux of this conversation. The whole point of this video, reviewing Xbox's Game Pass 2024, etc., as someone who hasn't really touched the ecosystem in a really long time. And I think this is the problem. I believe that I handpicked games that not only speak to me, but I think a lot of people in general will say are probably the better titles on Xbox Game Pass. Halo Infinite being one of them. Starfield supposedly being the game that's going to sell Game Pass for Xbox. Psychonauts 2 being touted as one of the best 3D platformers of all time. Gears of War 3 was just for me because I really wanted to play Gears of War again. So, that's just for me picking that one. With all that being said, these titles that are the titles to move the needle to, get, Game Pass up and running, I don't think are strong enough. And the reason why I wanted to review Xbox Game Pass from these games specifically, or just games in general, is because it doesn't matter how great your subscription service is if the games aren't speaking to, the people, the masses. And I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore gaming enthusiast or anything like that, obviously, but I do think, I'm just a huge fan of games in general. And if Xbox Game Pass, having this huge library of games to go to, isn't screaming, I need to stick around, then there is issues with, again, Xbox Game Pass, the whole idea of it. With all that being said, however, there is something that, I mean, maybe some of you guys already noticed this, obviously the way the, HUD looks and everything like that. But something I haven't really touched on is the fact that all these games that I was playing, all these, me experimenting with Game Pass and a lot of their titles was played via the cloud. I played via, Game Pass's cloud system. And I think that's really, really cool. I think obviously there's some hitches. Obviously, it's not the best performing at all the ways you can play Xbox. With that being said, it is a way to play Xbox. And Xbox doing this whole like idea of play anywhere, everywhere, anyway, etc. I do think is a very tantalizing idea. I think as long as it gets some titles that I think speak more to me specifically, things like Avowed, Fable, Hellblade, if those really hit the way I want them to, then this would be a really, really cool like ecosystem to be involved in. Playing on my laptop connected to my Wi-Fi router via the cloud is a really, really cool way, to have. It's a really cool option to have to, connect to my games. And if Xbox could really hone in on the games that it's providing, I think the idea of having the subscription service that has all your games, everything saved to it, you can play via your console, via your, laptop, via cloud. I think it's probably the most consumer friendly ecosystem in gaming right now. I think that is a really, really cool idea. Um, Unfortunately, it is just an idea, and I think that is the biggest problem with Game Pass. The idea of it, I'm behind. I'm behind the idea of playing these games however you want, wherever you want, for a small price, every month or whatever. I'm cool with that because as someone who is subscribed to like a Netflix or like a Disney Plus, etc., I can see why there's an appeal to just that monthly subscription base to play whatever the hell you want. I do see a lot of the downsides to it, right? I wouldn't want this to be the future of gaming. But it being an option in gaming, I think is a really, really powerful thing to have. And I think that shouldn't be understated. I think a lot of us kind of undermine Game Pass as this kind of like just a random collage of games nobody wants to play anymore, which I call BS to, because even not just the games that I played, right, but looking at the catalog of a bunch of other games that I think are things I could go back to eventually. The problem right now is none of them are compelling enough to pull me away from the things I'm playing now on PlayStation, on Nintendo. And I think that's the problem, is that there's nothing forcing me to engage with this longer than my PlayStation, longer than my Nintendo Switch, just because they don't have the games for me. With all that being said, looking into the future of Xbox, right? The developer direct is about to come out. We're gonna see things like Indiana Jones, more look at Hellblade 2, Avowed. If those games release and they hit and they're fire and they're banger, this is a service that I think we can't like keep like acting like it's not a good thing. It is a really really good thing. It is a really really cool thing. Yes, has Game Pass consumed Xbox? Yes, completely. We're to the point where Xbox isn't even the primary platform anymore. Game Pass is a platform. Game Pass is the future for Microsoft in the gaming sphere, and I get it. So, I mean, if you want me to review this, you want me to say, do I recommend it? Yeah, I think I do recommend Xbox Game Pass. I think there's a really, really powerful thing. With that being said, look at the library. Is there a game that you want to play this month? If there is, then subscribe. And if there's no game that you want to play this month, don't subscribe. I think it's really cool that you have the option to subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe, unsubscribe, etc. I like that. And I think ultimately, I mean, it's been said a million times over, right? Game Pass is the best deal in gaming. And I think the proof is there. I think for the dollar value, you're getting the most amount of games. You're getting a lot of really, really cool titles that are really interesting and that do make me want to stick around in the community to a degree. Now, again, this goes back to just the games. Xbox just needs to deliver on the games. I don't think Game Pass is the problem. I don't think any of that is a problem. I do think it is the problem of not having compelling enough software to compete with the competitors, right? I think they have good software, right? I think none of these games that I played are inherently the worst games ever made. They all function, they have purposes, and they're fun, and there's things I could pick and pull on things that I like. With that being said, however, they're not more compelling than what I have on the other options, right? Like if I'm gonna have to choose between, sticking with Xbox Game Pass and getting rid of the PlayStation 5 or Nintendo Switch, it's just not gonna happen. And because this is a subscription base and I could just, willy-nilly unsubscribe, then I'm not gonna be as compelled to stick around if I'm not, again, being forced to be here, which is where the games come in. If you give me Avowed, for example, and Avowed is one of my favorite game of that year or even of that period that the game releases, then I'm gonna be forced to stick around Xbox Game Pass to play it. I'm gonna be forced to go get an Xbox, console or a better PC to actually play these games natively. Ultimately, I think Xbox Game Pass is a really, really cool idea, and I think it is being undersold by not just the consumers, not just the people who, are fans of Xbox, but also just Xbox in general. I don't think they're hyping up the potential of Game Pass more than, they should. I think they should definitely hype it up more, and I think it is one of those things that is hard to hype up when you don't have a game behind it. It sucks that Starfield didn't hit the way Starfield needed to. So hopefully they can release, quality titles in the future where this is a more compelling service. With all that being said, I've been going on really, really long time. Do me a favor, like this video if you guys like this video. Please consider subscribing as it does help us out a ton. Let me know down below your guys' thoughts on Xbox Game Pass or anything, within this service-based medium that we're kind of running around in now. All that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.